Picture this. What if you had Rico Dowdle on your fantasy team before he went for 200 rushing yards, or Cam Scatterbo before he became the Giants starter seeing 20 touches a game? Well, in this video, we're going to identify those players who in the future could become the next breakout running backs or wide receivers, the players that you need to be stashing in your league who actually have upside. We'll break down 10 of them in this video, and we're going to start with a guy who's coming out of his bye week, and this one's a rookie. It's a rookie for the Chicago Bears, who they have a ton of rookies. Maybe we'll talk about another one in this video coming out of their bye week for the Bears. Entering week 6, Kyle Monangai, a 7th round rookie running back, and this is a guy who I think is worth stashing at least for the next few weeks. Historically, rookies coming out of the bye week normally see a bump up in usage if they want to be game planned, or if the coaches want to game plan them into the offense more, which we see plenty of times. They just invested capital into them, so you might as well try and get something out of them. And it gives the rookies a little bit of time to at least kind of work into the NFL, get their legs under them, and now they have a bye week to get game planned in more. So when you look at this backfield, as of right now, Kyle Monangai came out to start the year as a 7th round rookie. Roschon Johnson was hurt in training camp and to start the year, but Monangai, as of right now, playing well ahead of Roschon Johnson. Roschon Johnson not even involved in this offense. It's basically just DeAndre Swift, who is still a workhorse running back in this backfield, who entering week 6 right now, based on the matchup that he has and the usage that he's been getting, is a borderline must-start running back. I will not argue with anybody on that, no doubt about it. But with that being said, DeAndre Swift hasn't been all that efficient this year. Honestly, he really hasn't done much. If we go into his game logs over on Player Profiler, and just in terms of his overall usage this season, DeAndre Swift is averaging 3.3 yards per carry, 56th in the NFL. His yards per touch with his receptions is below 4 yards per touch, 45th in the NFL. Not great. Now you take into account right now what the rookie 7th round rookie Kyle Monangai is doing. It's honestly somewhat impressive. For your first 4 weeks of the season to be a 7th round rookie running back, 23% opportunity share on 28% of the snaps, playing at all, just be getting any touches is impressive. And he's been, not overly efficient, but 4.3 yards per touch has been better with DeAndre Swift is seeing right now. His total yardage, nothing insane, 15.5 rushing, 5.8 receiving, so like 21 yards per game. For a 7th round rookie running back getting this much usage, seeing 1 out of every 4 of your backfield opportunities, that's something to build off of. Especially because on Monangai's runs this year, very quietly, he's been seeing 7 defenders in the box, while DeAndre Swift has only been seeing on average 6 defenders in the box, so he's even having tougher fronts to run against, and he's still been more efficient than Swift. You can check out this tweet right here from Dynasty Dad FF. He talks about basically this bye week speculation that Kyle Monangai is coming out of, but he says that Swift has been inefficient and also injured in the past, which is something that could potentially happen in the future. Right now, Swift is 102nd in running back expected points added, which is honestly just really bad. 27th in yards created per touch, as well as about average to below average for an NFL starting running back, leans towards below average, but 102nd in EPA, expected points added. That means every time he gets the ball, the Bears offense is generating almost negative points on the total scoreboard. That's terrible. If you're not familiar with Monangai, he comes out of Rutgers. He had back-to-back seasons in college of over 1,200 rushing yards once Isaiah Pacheco left that offense, and he has 5 yards per carry the last 2 years as well. So this is pretty solid usage. Not really much of a pass catcher, because you could see here just 22 total receptions his last 2 seasons, but spent 4 years at Rutgers, was there while Isaiah Pacheco was there. Something about these 7th round running backs and Rutgers, they just kind of go under the radar in a terrible college program in the Big Ten. So, now they're kind of getting a name for themselves as they actually get some NFL coaching and offensive lines to run behind. So Monangai is somebody that's worth a stash. He's available in like over 95% of leagues. And while we're talking about a Bears rookie, let's talk about another one in Colston Loveland, because although Kyle Monangai was taken all the way in the 7th round of the draft, Colston Loveland was a 1st round pick, a top 10 overall pick out of Michigan at the tight end position for the Chicago Bears. And this is a player who, unfortunately, he gets drafted onto a Bears team where Cole Kmet is still a quality veteran tight end who is also a very strong college tight end as well. And unfortunately, Loveland himself, if we scroll down to it, this was a player who was coming into training camp banged up, and this was a player who in week 3 ended up suffering a hip injury that kept him out of a game. It's kept him on the injury report, but as we head into week 6, it looks like he's healthy, he's practicing, and there's a chance that he returns. Now, if we zoom out a little bit, when you compare him to guys like Tyler Warren, who were also taken in the 1st round of the NFL draft, who's having a fantastic season and becoming a fantasy darling already, it's kind of a disappointment for what's happening right now with Colston Loveland. You get Colston Loveland's stats and you see 3 catches for 43 yards. Tyler Warren has literally done this on 1 drive this year, and I'm not joking. Tyler Warren has 3 catches for 40 yards on a single drive in a game, not a quarter, not a half. 1 single drive in a game, he's outpaced Colston Loveland so far this year. So that's pretty terrible and disappointing, especially if you took Colston Loveland in like the 10th or 11th round of your draft, maybe even ahead of Tyler Warren. That feels terrible. But let's not forget, Colston Loveland is a very good player, a very talented player, just like Tyler Warren was in college at Penn State. Now, he didn't have 100 plus catches like Tyler Warren, 56 catches last year, 582 yards. Maybe that doesn't seem impressive, but he was playing on a Michigan team that never threw the ball. He accounted for 28% of his team's targets in college last year, which is unheard of for a tight end. There's also the fact that right now, like Cole Kmet has not played all that great. He's been largely inefficient. You can see right here, he's had multiple big drops this season, including this one in the red zone that maybe odds are he's getting tackled at the 5-yard line, but maybe that ends up in a touchdown right there. I don't want to play this one because I'll get demonetized since it's game footage, but I'll kind of scroll through it. This is an extended play by Caleb Williams down the right sideline. It is a tough catch for Cole Kmet. He does not make the reception. Now, some people are going to say this isn't a drop. The ball is literally in his hands as he goes to the ground. I get it. It's a diving catch, but Cole Kmet already has a borderline 3 to 4 drops on the season. There's been a couple other plays when he's run the wrong route, kind of been a miscommunication with Caleb Williams. The door is open for Colston Loveland after the bye, the post-bye rookie bump, quote unquote. Maybe we see it. The door is open for Loveland to see more usage. And I'll kind of just finish with this, some advanced stats just to remind you how good Colston Loveland is. He accounted for 35% of his team's receiving yards, 30% of the receptions, and 42% of the receiving touchdowns last year in college. And reminder, his coach is Ben Johnson, who took TJ Hawkinson into a top 5 fantasy tight end and Sam Laporta into a top 5 fantasy tight end in the past 2 to 3 years alone. So stash Colston Loveland and maybe we see like a late October breakout for him. Before we get into the next player you should be stashing on your rosters before your friends do, 2 seconds of your time to hit the subscribe button. We are so close to my personal goal of 200,000. It would mean a lot to me if you find these videos helpful to hit that subscribe button. Now, another player who's becoming more of a waiver priority ad and maybe even a player you can start and not just stash is Kendre Miller, but he's still available in by far the far majority of leagues right now. We're talking about over 80% of fantasy leagues, and we're getting the hints. Like, these are the hints. I mentioned guys like Cam Skattebo, Rico Dotto. We were getting the hints with those guys, especially Rico Dotto. He was seeing goal line usage, passing game usage, and then he just got the benefit of Chuba Hubbard going down. We're getting the hints right now with Kendre Miller. What do I mean by this? Well, let's just look at the usage. As recent as last week, he out-carried Alvin Kamara in this backfield. On the season, he's been more efficient than Kamara. This game, over 4 yards per carry. Kamara just 3.4 yards per carry. If you look at his game logs right now, the season started out with him not being all that much involved, right? Only running 2 routes, 1 route, 5 carries a game, barely playing any snaps. Then he starts to see 27%, 31%, 38%. He's starting to see double-digit opportunities in back-to-back games, including all 4 red zone touches in week 4. He has now seen his snaps increase every single week of the season. Check this out. According to Dwayne McFarland on Twitter, as you can see right here, Kendre Miller's snaps every single week of the season have increased. He just played 40% of the snaps in the same game that Kamara, or he just played 40% of the snaps in a game Kamara was healthy for the first time in his career. And oh yeah, he's been overly efficient. Look at this. He has the best tackle breaker in college football at all of NCAA in 2021, right? He then comes out of college. He has a couple of injuries. He doesn't go to the combine, so people are kind of concerned. Maybe he drops in the draft a little bit because of that. He then is on a Saints team where Dennis Allen was his head coach in the past, and just like for whatever reason didn't like the guy, would speak negatively about him in the media, would put him on. He put him on IR at one point when the guy didn't even need to go on IR. Just weird stuff. And now this guy who was the best tackle breaker in college in 2021 is now the best tackle breaker in the NFL as of right now through week 5, according to Guru Fantasy on Twitter. Not only that, he's also 8th in the NFL in his percentage of runs to go for 10 plus yards. This guy has seen limited touches this year. Imagine as he gets more touches. There's a reason why he's had double-digit carries in each of the past 2 weeks and just saw more usage than Kamara last week, because the coaching staff, Kellen Moore, can see that this guy is a weapon on offense. So right now, Alvin Kamara is still the RB1 on this team, although there are rumors that he could be traded. And as of this recording right now, Alvin Kamara did pick up an ankle injury in practice on Wednesday. Now, it wasn't thought to be serious. We'll see as more news comes out. Maybe by the time you're watching this, he's practicing full. Maybe by the time you're watching this, he's not playing. Either way, even more reason that Kendre Miller is a priority stash right now, whether Kamara is banged up, Kamara is traded, or the fact that he's just seeing more usage with Kamara there right now because Kamara has largely been inefficient as a runner. Now, in this video, we're talking about stashes, but if you want to see my #1 waiver wire ad at every single position for this week and every single week of the season, you could get it right now totally free with the link in the description below or by going to waiverwins.com. That is waiverwins.com. That takes you to this lovely page right here. You just enter your email, and once you enter your email, give it a minute or two, and I will send you my #1 waiver ad at every single position for this week, and then I'll send it to you every single week as well moving forward to make sure you always have the best waiver wire ads so you have the best chance of winning your league, getting a league winner, and schmacking around your friends in fantasy. If you don't see it come to your inbox in like a minute or two, just check your spam or promotional folders. Okay, the next man up, I know we're talking about a lot of Chicago Bears, but honestly, they're the guys you want to look out for because they're coming out of their bye week and they spent so much draft capital this year on offense. This guy, Luther Burton, was a second-round pick. Could have easily been a first-round pick. So far this season, we haven't seen him play a lot, right? He's seen sub 30% of the snaps on offense so far this year. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, even Olmedid Zaccheaus have been playing ahead of him in the wide receiver rotation. But we've been fortunate enough to see some flashes in a game where he saw slightly more usage against the worst rated secondary right now now in the Dallas Cowboys. He had 3 catches on a flea flicker. He scored a big touchdown, 101 yards as well. This was sort of his somewhat breakout game for 18 fantasy points. He also had a carry in this game, so 4 opportunities. It was nice to see, but in general, even in that game, he still operated as the wide receiver 4. He just happened to have the big flea flicker wide open, in some ways touchdown. Now, if you're not familiar with Luther Burton, I mean, this guy was on pace to be a top 10 overall pick after his massive 2023 season. 86 catches, 1,200 yards, an insane 33% target share as well. He caught 9 touchdowns that season, was involved on special teams at Missouri, and then he comes out. He did that at just 19 years old in the SEC. He comes out of his next year at age 20 season. He dealt with some injuries that kind of went a little bit under the radar. He only goes out there and has 676 yards. So instead of being this top 10 overall pick, like we saw with Tetairoa McMillan this past year, like we saw to Rome Odunze, his teammate last season, well, he ends up going into the top of the second round, and he ends up getting somewhat buried on this depth chart, but we've been seeing the flashes out of him, and now we're seeing him slowly trending up. And not to mention, this was a guy who missed most of training camp and OTAs with an injury, so it might take a little bit longer for him to get going. No better time than after the bye week, an extra week of rest, and to get built into the offense to see maybe a bit of a breakout. And here's something that's interesting, right? This is obviously an extremely small sample by Dynasty I'm on Twitter. 25 routes into Luther Burton's career, he's earned a 24% target rate. 4.12 yards per route run would be second in the NFL behind Puka Nacua, and a 74.5 receiving grade is more than respectable, right? So this is only 25 routes. That's basically the equivalent to one game, maybe not even like 3/4 of football, but it's at least good to see that he's been highly efficient on that usage, and he's actually at least has a case to earn more usage. There's also rumors, like we talked about earlier with Alvin Kamara potentially being traded. There's also rumors that DJ Moore could be on the trade block this year, especially if the team does like what they're seeing in their second round pick, Luther Burton, to kind of fill in for his role, because right now DJ Moore is basically a 4, maybe 5 catch guy for 40 to 50 yards per game. He's not that much built into the offense, so there's an opportunity for maybe as we get into the November trade deadline to see him being moved, and if that's the case, that's when Luther Burton starts to skyrocket up. Right now, he's available in over 90% of fantasy leagues. I would argue that if you're in a serious 12-man league that has at least 5 bench spots, Luther Burton should be rostered in every single league. Now, the next man who's maybe more of a deeper stash is Brashard Smith. He's a converted wide receiver to running back. He's sort of a project in the NFL, but he's in a backfield right now, in a backfield with the Kansas City Chiefs that offers a lot of upside, right? There's no clear number 1 runner. Nobody's standing out as a great option. It's basically been this way since Isaiah Pacheco got hurt last year in like week 2. Now, unfortunately, the team was hinting that he would see more usage heading into his week 5 primetime game on Monday Night Football against the Jags. We didn't see that, right? He only saw 1 carry in this game. He did get involved, as his college background kind of shows you, as a receiver. 3 catches, 32 yards in this game. So in terms of PPR formats, he scored almost 7 fantasy points, which, you're not getting much from 7 fantasy points, but this is a guy I want to stash. We know he has a dual threat upside. He has sort of the ability, and he's been compared to Jerick McKinnon for this offense, who is easily a flex to RB2 option because of how good he was as a pass catcher. And we were starting to see a trend. 3 straight weeks before week 5, we were getting more touches per game, way more snaps, almost 25% of the snaps in the game against Baltimore, although partially a blowout, but then it only went down to about 10% of the snaps. Now, why was this? I think it was part of it was just game plan. Part of it was they were in a much closer game against the Jaguars, where late in the game they were going to trust the veterans more than the 7th round rookie out there. But at the end of the day, this is a talented player that Andy Reid has on his radar. The offensive coordinator clearly has on his radar, and we're only 5 weeks into the season. I wouldn't be shocked if the second half of the season we get a breakout for a guy who became a running back last year and put up over 1,300 yards in college football, while continuing at SMU when he transferred to catch 39 balls, 11% target share. He's a great pass catching running back. We just saw him catch 3 balls for 30 yards last week. And if he even starts to get just 8 to 10 carries on the ground, that's where he could break out. This backfield is Kareem Hunt seeing goal line carries and being inefficient. Pacheco seeing 6 to 8 carries per game and being inefficient. I mean, we are literally right now 5 weeks into the season, and Patrick Mahomes is still the leading rusher on this offense. That's pretty atrocious. Patrick Mahomes is great, but that is still pretty atrocious. Brashard Smith is coming off of that game where he only saw 4 touches as the highest graded offensive player for the Chiefs on his snaps. He only saw 4 touches. He saw a couple more snaps than that, about 10 or so snaps in that game. Highest graded player. When he's out there, he's been good. Now, somebody who hasn't been out there because he's been dealing with an injury is Jalen Coker, the former undrafted free agent from last year, now a second-year player. And this is a player who has a lot of upside and could return as soon as this week for the Carolina Panthers. This is what we saw towards the end of last year. An undrafted free agent was going out there and having 55 receiving yards per game the final month of the season and 11 fantasy points per game. 11 fantasy points per game would be like right around the wide receiver 25 on a weekly basis when you're factoring in bye weeks, which means he's a flex option to wide receiver 2 or 3 for you. So this is a player that you want to take notice that this team believes in. They traded Adam Thielen because they believe in Jalen Coker. They didn't bring in any other competition besides the top 10 overall pick, Tetairoa McMillan, this offseason because they believe in Jalen Coker. And it makes sense. Jalen Coker last year ranked 5th amongst the rookie pass catchers in yards per route run. only behind Brian Thomas Jr., who ended up being a first-round fantasy pick, Ladd McConkey, a second-round fantasy pick, Malik Neighbors, and Brock Bowers. All these guys were first or second-round fantasy picks. All these guys were first-round, or in the case of Ladd McConkey, an early second-round pick in the NFL draft. Jalen Coker was as efficient as all of those players last year, even more efficient than guys like Rome Odunze. And as recent as a few days ago, earlier this week, Panthers coach Dave Canales told reporters that they are opening the Jalen Coker's 21-day practice window. That'll throw him in and see potentially where he could respond in practice. So there's a chance that Jalen Coker does return in week 6. Now, maybe he doesn't. Maybe they give him another week and he's back in week 7. But outside of Tetairoa McMillan in this offense, there's nothing here. I mean, Xavier Legette has 6 catches for 39 yards through 3 games this season. The dude is literally averaging 12 to 13 receiving yards per game. Oh, you want to talk about Hunter Renfrow because he had a great training camp? Hunter Renfrow they cut, by the way. They had to bring him back to the team because Coker got hurt. And Hunter Renfrow so far this year ranks 91st in the NFL in yards per route run. Borderline terrible. He's barely getting a half a yard per route run. In terms of an NFL player, I'm not going to say I could do better than that as a washed up 29-year-old who probably runs in the, 4.8s, right? I get it. This is going to be a guy who could be better than me at football, but the fact that I have to compare myself to the way that Hunter Renfrow is playing right now is pretty disgusting. He has 14 catches this season for 82 receiving yards. The dude is literally averaging right now like 5 yards per catch, not even. So yeah, when Jalen Coker comes back to the field in week 6 or week 7, he's going to immediately become the number 2 option behind Tetairoa McMillan in an offense that has no other wide receiver competition. That's tight end that was starting to trend up. Jatavion Sanders is banged up as well right now. You should be stashing, putting in your IR spot, and then maybe even flexing during the bye weeks Jalen Coker. And you also right now need to go to your waiver wire if you're in a 12-team format and make sure DJ Giddens is on your roster. I'm telling you right now, Tyron Tracy got hurt. It made Cam Scatterbo a 20 touch per game player. Chuba Hubbard just got hurt. Rico Dotto's going for 30 touches and 200 yards, right? These are crazy extreme examples, but that is the next player who's going to do it right here. 5th round rookie DJ Giddens. He already was beating out other veterans like Khalil Herbert in the preseason and training camp for the clear RB2 job. He is the RB2 behind Jonathan Taylor, who has currently the best role in football and arguably the best offense in football, the Colts. Let's remember week 1 when Jonathan Taylor was rested from the 3rd quarter on after he fell on his neck and they were blowing out the team. 12 carries went to DJ Giddens in that game. Ulysses Bentley was the only other running back to see a carry. So DJ Giddens took on a workhorse role, was basically the only guy being used. And then in another blowout a couple of weeks ago, Jonathan Taylor gets rested in the 4th quarter after 17 carries. All 5 of the backup carries go to DJ Giddens. They give 2 to Amir Abdullah late on the final drive when the 3rd string offense is in the game. DJ Giddens has been proven and shown as the clear RB2 in this offense, and he's not just like this plotter. Like in past seasons, Zach Moss has been the backup here, and he's just been this plotter. Trey Sermon's been the backup, just a plotter that will get you 3.5 yards per carry, can't do much else. That's not DJ Giddens, a young, exciting rookie who at his size ran a 4.43 40 time according to Player Profiler, 92nd percentile speed score. That's top 10% to ever attend the combine. This is a guy who in back-to-back seasons in college had over 1,200 rushing yards. Every single season of his career had at least 5.5 yards per carry. This is a very strong player who also showed he can catch passes, 20 plus receptions each of the last 2 seasons at Kansas State, a 10% target share as well. He comes into the NFL a year early as well as a junior, and he's already the RB2 behind Jonathan Taylor, who I have Jonathan Taylor on a couple of fantasy teams. He's awesome right now. He's the best 2nd round pick and probably best overall pick in fantasy football. Maybe not named like Rome Odunze right now, but he's right up there. But this is still a guy who on average has missed about 4 games per season over his last 3 years. If he was to miss even just a week or 2, DJ Giddens becomes a must-start running back. And I'll just refresh your memory. There's nobody else here. Like Tyler Goodson is not a concern. It is these 2 running backs, obviously Jonathan Taylor, and if he misses time, DJ Giddens. Let me just refresh your memory. Last season, Tyler Goodson, this guy right here who's still on the team, was averaging over 10 fantasy points per game when Jonathan Taylor was out. Trey Sermon, who was absolutely terrible last season, was still getting over 14 touches per game, even had a 19 fantasy point day. You date back to 2023 when Jonathan Taylor missed this beginning of the season because he was dealing with injury, he was dealing with contract situations. Zach Moss came in and averaged over 13 fantasy points per game, was a top 15 running back. If JT misses time, DJ Giddens is better, more athletically, college background wise than every single running back I just mentioned. DJ Giddens would be easily a top 20 running back, probably even top 15 running back week in and week out. If Taylor missed time, he is the number 1 priority stash amongst all running backs right now. Now, before this next running back who had a awesome performance in his rookie year, and you should consider stashing him right now. I don't know if you know this, but I've teamed up with DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy sports partner of the NFL, and they're offering you a chance
chance to win some real money. All right, here's what I'm talking about. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, whether it's your favorite team, whether it's a guy that you like that week based on his matchup, and that allows you to unlock the upside to potentially win some real money. It's as simple as that. There's no convoluted rules. There's no gimmicks. You just pick more or less on some players, and then you watch those players perform. And now here's the best part, a little bit of a bonus for you. New DraftKings Pick 6 customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. This is your opportunity to put your football knowledge to the test. Just download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code SAL. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours. Now that running back who had an awesome game, and I think I said in his rookie year, it was his second year. He didn't really play much in his rookie year. Basically his rookie year last year was Sean Tucker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because here's the deal. Week 5, Bucky Irving was out. We were maybe going to see a little bit more usage for Sean Tucker, but we did not get it. Because in that crazy back and forth game against the Seahawks, they relied on the veteran more in Rachaad White. 14 carries. He was very inefficient, 2.9 yards per carry, even with their offensive lineman coming back in this game and Graham Barton getting moved back to center and the offensive line looking as good as it has in a while. Still just 2.9 yards per carry for Rachaad White, but he was able to catch 4 balls for 30 yards. They trust the veteran overall in the passing game. They trust him more on the ground right now than Sean Tucker, at least for that one game. But as of this day, as of right now, Thursday, I'm recording this a day earlier, Bucky Irving's still not practicing. Not only is he dealing with the foot sprain, now he has a shoulder injury that's apparently more serious than the foot. There's a chance that Bucky Irving misses this week and next week. And who knows, maybe even more time after that. Now, Sean Tucker's only seen 10 or more opportunities once in his career last year. In that game, he had 136 rushing yards and a touchdown. Oh, he did not stop there. He also had 3 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown. The dude went for over 180 total yards and multiple scores in the only NFL game where he's seen at least 10 carries. Rachaad White's been very inefficient on the ground yet again this year. I wouldn't be shocked in the next week or two if Sean Tucker sees a little bit more usage, which makes him a stash right now, just in case Bucky Irving misses more time. This is a small running back, Bucky Irving, dealing with 2 serious injuries right now. And if you don't remember, Sean Tucker had one of the best seasons in 2021 of a college running back in quite some time. 1,500 rushing yards, averaging 6 yards per carry at Syracuse. He followed it up as his final year with over 1,000 yards. He then had a medical injury, which kind of kept him out. When you factor in his receiving yards, he had almost 1,800 yards in that second season, his 20-year-old season at Syracuse. But then a medical issue led to him going undrafted. He didn't play much with the Bucs in his rookie year, got a lot more run last year, and when he got opportunities, he looked good. So as of right now, Rachaad White with Bucky Irving out is definitely the starting running back. This week, he's specifically in my rankings, a top 20 running back. You can check out my entire rankings, my top 150 flex rankings, every positional ranking, game-by-game matchup notes in the Fantasy Blueprint at jointheblueprint.com. Limited spots remain. Over 10,000 people have access. You can check it out. But Rachaad White, spoiler alert, is a top 20 running back this week in there. Sean Tucker is a stash. And Bucky Irving is going to miss probably this week, maybe next week. And let's be honest here. This is a smaller running back. He is amazing in between the tackles. Maybe the best dynamic runner in between the tackles. But now he's dealing with a foot sprain. Takes 3 to 4 weeks to feel really good. A shoulder injury, which shoulder injuries usually get re-aggravated very easily. I'm concerned if I have Bucky Irving on my fantasy team, stash Sean Tucker. Now, this next one is a super deep stash, but there's a couple of reasons why I want to talk about Keaton Mitchell, the former 2023 undrafted rookie. And the first reason is it has nothing to do with what he recently did in week 5, right? I mean, the guy went out there, he had 3 carries for 8 yards compared to 15 carries for Derrick Henry, 33 yards. But Keaton Mitchell, 2023, he was unbelievable. Devon Achane was also a rookie in 2023 and was stealing all the thunder from Keaton Mitchell, who was just as efficient. Then he gets injured, was banged up for most of 2024, was banged up entering to this year, but Keaton Mitchell was active these last couple of weeks, playing ahead of Justice Hill this past game as the RB2 behind Derrick Henry. And let's be real, Derrick Henry hasn't been good this year outside of just week 1. Part of that is the offense, terrible offensive line, entire team's hurt, but he's also getting older. And let's not forget the last time we had a healthy Keaton Mitchell, when he was seeing opportunities, 7.1 yards per carry. Sure, that led the NFL, right? 8.7 yards per touch led the NFL in 2023. Sure, Derrick Henry wasn't on this team at that point, but this is a very dynamic player who can be an interesting change of pace back. Justice Hill is the best pass catching running back on this team, though he's been seeing less touches and snaps compared to Keaton Mitchell now that Keaton Mitchell is healthy. And Derrick Henry is still going to be the guy who gets all the carries in this offense, but what happens if he misses time? Just like we were talking about with Jonathan Taylor, if he misses time, DJ Giddens is next in line. If Derrick Henry misses time, Keaton Mitchell is a highly explosive running back, and right now the Ravens offense needs explosiveness. Now for the next player we got to talk about, it has to do with this situation right here. Running back Braylon Allen is expected to miss 8 to 12 weeks. This was as of last week, so now it's 7 to 11 weeks, which makes Isaiah Davis a stash candidate. Whoa, that's a big square for me. There we go. Makes Isaiah Davis, the second-year player, former 5th-round pick out of South Dakota State, a stash candidate in the Jets offense. Now, this past week, the question was, how much does Isaiah Davis play? The answer was not a lot. Without Braylon Allen in the first game, Breece Hall went for 14 carries, over 100 yards. Isaiah Davis just 1 carry in this game. You scroll down, Isaiah Davis, though, did add 3 catches for 28 yards, so he was active as a receiver in this game. But the big reason why you want to add him is he's just a stash candidate behind Breece Hall, and an offense that we know wants to run the ball, was a deception
receptive quarterback who's going to be mobile and keep the defense honest, which helps the running back. This is more of your deep league stash, but you can see Isaiah Davis was one of the best college running backs from the 2022 to 2023 stretch. He was PFF's #1 graded running back, 1,500 rushing yards on average those 2 seasons. Also caught 20 plus passes a season, although it was South Dakota State, much easier competition. He was a quality player out there. This backfield is easily Isaiah Davis, or is easily Isaiah Davis to handcuff the stash, with basically Braylon Allen out for the rest of the fantasy season or so. Breece Hall, the clear #1 right now, but if he goes down, Isaiah Davis steps in, and we know based on his college background that this is a workhorse type player. Like if Breece Hall was to miss some time, and a lot of running backs are missing time right now, Tyron Tracy, Chuba Hubbard, James Conner, right? All these guys are missing time right now. Well, if he was to miss time, you might get a 16 to 20 touch a week and pass catching upside at Isaiah Davis. That's important, especially in PPR formats. So these are the players you want to get ahead of. Stash them on your teams before the waivers run in week 6, so you don't have to spend your waiver priority or your fat bucks. Now, if you want to see the players that you need to trade away as soon as possible from your teams, well, you can check out this video right here. These are the guys that you should try and sell high on. They might be good players, but if you could sell them and get more in return, why not do it? So trade away these players while you still can.